Now, we go back to the bank holiday weekend. What is Alistair Campbell's great rule? 11 days is the cut-off point. If a story is 11 days or longer, normally the subject, the victim, is toast. We wait to see if she survives. But, as I say, it kicked off over the bank holiday weekend a couple of weeks ago. There's a Mail on Sunday telling us that the DPM, Deputy Prime Minister, had shelled out £800,000 on a luxury flat in Hove, very desirable part of the country, prompting the headline, "Three Pads Rayner." The Daily Telegraph subsequently weighed in and reported she saved some £2,000 in council tax on her Grace and Favour home at Admiralty House here in central London because she'd suggested her house in Ashton-under-Lyne, Greater Manchester, remained her primary residence. So, understandably, for journalists, there were many questions to answer. And I couldn't wait to ask them. First up, Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook. This is the 26th of August.
I don't think there is a story here in any sense, Nick, other than the fact that Angela Rayner clearly lives rent-free in the heads of the shadow cabinet. The Deputy Prime Minister's primary residence for council tax purposes is in her constituency, which she obviously visits to undertake her duties as a Member of Parliament. She pays the council tax on that property. She has a second home in Brighton and Hove. She complies with the council tax premium that council have introduced.
He couldn't edit a postage stamp, that man, could he? Just a few days later, further revelations came to light. Again, it was the Telegraph, revealing Mrs Rayner had saved £40,000 in stamp duty by not paying the higher rate reserved for additional or second home purchases. So I put those new reports to Care Minister Stephen Kinnock, and he said,
"My understanding from the statement that's come from the Deputy Prime Minister's office is that she's done absolutely nothing wrong.
I know.
Everything that she's done is fully within the law."
And it continued. Early Education Minister Stephen Morgan, he might need some lessons on journalism too. I spoke with him at the start of this month.
I understand she's answered all the questions put to her. These are her personal circumstances. I understand no rule has been broken.
But the questions and the media reporting went on and on. Rightly, journalists were not going to let go. And the scandal came to a head on Wednesday when the woman herself, Angela Rayner, or is it Angela Blamer, gave an interview to Sky News' Beth Rigby in which she admitted...
To that, with all of the media reports that have been coming out, I took expert counsel advice on all of my affairs to ensure that everything was done proper. And that expert counsel said that the advice that I received was inaccurate. As soon as I knew that that was the case, I have alerted and referred myself to the independent advisor on the ministerial code to ensure that they can look transparently at what's happened, and also contacted HMRC to say that there is additional tax owing on this and that I'm prepared to pay that and fully comply with the HMRC as well.
I love this idea that if you refer yourself, I have referred myself. Imagine if you were at a fight with HMRC over VAT or tax. Oh, by the way, I have referred myself for an independent... Oh, you should have said that. That's fine. It's like when they say, I want to be absolutely clear, or let me be absolutely straight. No, most of you can't lay straight in bed. So questions. And it was obviously going to feature a Prime Minister's questions for Sir Keir Starmer.
But I can be clear, I am very proud to sit alongside a Deputy Prime Minister who is building 1.5 million homes, who is bringing the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, and who's come from a working class background to be Deputy Prime Minister of this country.
Not so sure about that line, Sir Keir, building 1.5 million homes. She's got 3 of them. I don't know that was the best line of defence when you think about it. But the obfuscation continued. Yesterday, Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson climbing a little bit higher up the ministerial ladder. We've actually got a Secretary of State here. What's the future of the DPM?
I'm not going to speculate on or prejudge any. Because this is we've got a process that's underway with the independent advisor. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals or speculate. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm just not going to do it. That process will run its course.
And it's continued, trying to use the straight bat even through today. Minister for Trade and Economic Security, Douglas Alexander, told me in the first hour of the show.
So listen, first of all, I genuinely don't know when the report is going to be concluded. Okay. You're right to recognise that he's tended to work very quickly and produce comprehensive reports at speed, but it's ultimately up to Sir Laurie Magnus. On what that
but if she were to be cleared, Minister, let's say she's cleared of all counts, surely Sir Keir has to say, Angela, we can't keep you as the Housing Secretary because you don't seem to be able to understand your own website.
But, Nick, you're inviting me to speculate on a process that's not yet concluded. And respectfully, however good the questions are, and they're great questions, and I'm sure your listeners want them asked, I'm not going to engage in post-match analysis before the final whistle.
If you are just joining us, Angela Rayner has resigned. That is the known. Aggie Chambray is with me, LBC's political correspondent. What are the known unknowns?
So we know that Angela Rayner will leave the government. That means her post as Housing Secretary and her post as Deputy Prime Minister. We don't know at this moment, although I have just in the last few seconds seen a report that she will also resign as Deputy Leader.
The crucial element of Sir Laurie Magnus's report is now in front of me. I tell you what, if there were any doubt at all about the importance of this office, the importance of this role, and the absolute necessity of referring a matter like this to an independent advisor on ministerial standards, then Sir Laurie Magnus has just absolutely removed any shred of doubt about the importance of the role, because the ministerial code has been breached, and yet at the same time he writes, and I quote, "I believe Ms. Rayner has acted with integrity and with a dedicated and exemplary commitment to public service. I consider, however, that her unfortunate failure to settle her SDLT liability, that's stamp duty, at the correct level, coupled with the fact that this was established only following intensive public scrutiny, leads me to advise you that, in relation to this matter, she cannot be considered to have met the highest possible standards of proper conduct, as envisaged by the Code. Accordingly, it is with deep regret that I must advise you that in these circumstances I consider the Code to have been breached." So, I mean, amazingly, this brings us back to Scott in Uxbridge, who wrote in on Wednesday to say, surely she has to ask everybody involved if there's any way any of this can come back to bite her on the backside. That is what the highest possible standards of proper conduct involves. So an honest mistake. She has acted with integrity and with a dedicated and exemplary commitment to public service. But you could be forgiven in recent years for forgetting that ministers are supposed to abide by the ministerial code. And that crucial language there is highest possible standards of proper conduct. So no impugning of her integrity, quite the opposite, but actually competence, ultimately, Aggie, that has done for her, not dotting the I's, crossing the T's, and when she was not qualified to do so herself, finding somebody who was.
Indeed, and that's the argument that he said in this pretty comprehensive 3-page letter, fundamentally just ending with the fact that it leads him to the advice that she cannot be considered to have met the highest possible standards of proper conduct as envisaged by the Code. So really clear, actually, there from him, and that was what we were saying, right? So there were three different outcomes that there could be from this. Number one, that he could say she hasn't breached the Code. This is very, very clear. Number two, not that clear. She hasn't breached the Code, but, and this is option three. She has been found to have breached the Code, and I think there was only, listening to that Keir Starmer interview yesterday, there was only really one outcome that was going to come out of that, because Keir Starmer said yesterday in that interview, I will act on whatever the report is that is put in front of me. And we've got Angela Rayner's letter too, and I think the key bit of that I'll just read out is, I deeply regret my decision to not seek additional specialist tax advice, given both my position as Housing Secretary and my complex family arrangements. She says she takes full responsibility for this error, would like to take this opportunity to repeat that it was never my intention to do anything other than pay the right amount. She talks about the significant toll the ongoing pressure of the media is taking on her family, and said that she is going to resign from Deputy Prime Minister, Secretary of State for Housing, and also as Deputy Leader. So that is now confirmed. She has gone as Deputy Leader too.
Phone lines are open, 03456060973. I don't know what the question that you would like to answer most is. I mean, how bad is this for Keir Starmer? Springs to mind, 03456060973. We know that a reshuffle is to be undertaken. Rachel Reeves's job is safe. I don't know what else isn't. I mean, he has to appoint a new deputy prime. Well, he doesn't have to, but he will probably appoint a new deputy prime minister. What this does to the government, again, as I've said to you all week, I want you to, if you can, answer this question in a way that is not informed by how you felt about this government or how you felt about British politics this time last week, before we even knew that Angela Rayner had bought a flat in Hove. So if you're, got your Labour scarf on super tight and you say, nothing to see here, can't believe it, Angela will be back, it's a terrible witch hunt, it's not fair, it's not very interesting. And equally, if you, pretending that Boris Johnson never ignored the findings of his independent ethics advisor when he told people to form a square around the Pritzker after Priti Patel was found to have breached the ministerial code, then, and you think Angela Rayner's awful, then you're not very interesting either. Who is interesting? People who are capable of forming an honest and objective opinion about how bad this is. I think this is the right outcome. I've said since yesterday that if the code has been broken, and it is, I think, largely because she is housing minister, that she needed to conduct herself to a higher standard on the question of seeking advice. But I stress again, this is the independent advisor on ministerial standards writing. I believe she has acted with integrity and with a dedicated and exemplary commitment to public service. So if you had to put it into a sentence, she should have tried harder.